Okay, so let's kind of keep going here with this a little bit. I want to just show one example that there's quite a bit of consistency in Blender, and it's good to know these things. I was talking about restoring and closing these panels, so let's just slide these over and get them out of the way. Alright, and let's close all these guys too. Just go ahead and do this. I mean, I would suggest kind of following me here, just to do this. So you'll notice up here also there is also over each one of these panels that are here by default, there's the similar options. Okay, sometimes it's hard to know. This is how I was saying you could do it by accident. It's hard to know, are you going to click or drag on this or drag on this? And if you drag this, boom, it's gone. You see? So if I drag this line, that is gone. If I drag this one, that's gone. If I drag above it, then it pulls this whole thing down here. And above here, there used to be a preferences up here in old versions of Blender, but now this is kind of like a command line. A lot of your commands will show up here, so that's another hot little tip, that if you're in a situation where you want to see what the error message was, you can drag this down and you can see it, just like a command line message. That used to be in a separate panel like Maya has, and then they changed that. They put preferences up here. Anyway, nostalgia, whatever. But it's good to know where that is and what that is if you drag that down. Okay, but every one of these panels can be, of course, closed like that. And they can all be, see now the interface doesn't have any of that stuff, so maybe you just like it like that. Maybe you just want to have it really clean looking. But, you know, if it happens by accident, which could easily happen, as you can see, you can restore all of these by clicking these little tiny plus signs, and that restores everything back. And every one of these panels can be any one of these panels. So this is a 3D view here, right? This will be just a brief interface going over. If you select this, you can see I can choose any kind of panel. Right now it is being a info. Where is that little I button? There it is, info, right? The letter I. And if you go to 3D view, then of course now this up here is just you know, another 3D view. If I can drag, you know, with my alt. And then there I am. So that's good to know. With the exception of these side panels here, every panel can be any kind of a panel, right? So those cannot, but these all can. So we just set back to the default of info, and that's by default. It's just all they did was just by default slid it all the way to the top, and there is no other panel above that, but it's just hidden, and you just drag on that, and there it is. So remember that you can't drag on this second one, you have to drag on this top one to move that. Otherwise you might accidentally close that. Okay, so that's just a little tip to keep you out of trouble. There are other things to know right away about this, and let's just go ahead and go over that real quick. So you see these angled these angled triangle things with lines. Those are an indication that you can create a new window if you just drag on that. Okay, so what you do again is you hover over until your cursor turns to a plus sign, and then drag it like that. Okay, now to do the other way around, it gets kind of tricky, and people really get hung up on this sometimes, and I can see why. But what you do is hover back over to where it becomes a plus sign, but rather than drag to the left, drag it to the right. Okay, and then you'll see something happen. You'll see this arrow shows up. Now once the arrow shows up, then you can choose if you want to collapse it this way or this way. So if I choose to the right, then it collapses this panel over to that one, and this one, let's go the other way. Let's make this another panel so it's clear, the UV editor. And then I'm going to drag this, go to the right, then I'm going to come back to the left, and now it's the UV editor. Go back down here, let's switch it back to 3D view, and let's go on to the next video.